The National Autistic Society have recorded that over 500,000 people in the UK could have autism, and this gives us a figure of over 1 in 100 people. Now, despite such a large number, there are still false and negative perceptions about the condition, and these are commonplace. The National Autistic Society state that a lack of understanding makes it difficult for people on the autistic spectrum to have their condition recognised, and it makes this difficult access to the support that they need. Misconceptions can lead to some people who have autism feeling isolated and alone. In extreme cases, it can lead to bullying and also to abuse. To address this, the National Autistic Society in 2012 led a social media campaign. Its hope was to raise general awareness of the condition and also to dispel the common myths surrounding autism and Asperger's syndrome. So, as part of this campaign, it's created an opportunity for people to tweet common myths about autism, and these could be tweeted each day on the run-up to World Autism Day in 2013. Some examples that we have from this were myths including all people with autism can't start and sustain friendships or relationships. Another one on there was that stimming, the repetitive behaviour like flapping or rocking, is undesirable and should be stopped. Now, to dispel some of these myths, people could also back up some facts around them and share the actual fact. So, example with reference to the stimming is that actually repetitive behaviour like flapping or rocking can help someone with autism deal with the chaotic environments or stress. The campaign was also to share the fact that autism is part of a spectrum, and how this was actually introduced as far back as 1979 by Lorna Wing and Judith Gould. Recently, it has also been adopted that Asperger's syndrome is part of this autistic spectrum. So increasingly, autism is starting to filter into the public eye in the UK, with examples of a growing number of television documentaries in the last 5 to 10 years. I would suggest, though, that these tend to be some of the more sensationalized stories, sort of looking at the savant style autism and some of the sort of rather unusual stories that can be associated with it. An example including that of Stephen Wiltshire with the sort of TV title The Human Camera. His exploits were to be able to take in an image and then reproduce this in minute detail when creating a piece of artwork. So I seem to recall the documentary involving him going up in a helicopter over Rome, and within a half an hour viewing he was able to reproduce everything he saw over the next 3 days, to sort of record every single window he saw. There are also some documentaries actually including some of the professionals that work with autism. An example includes a BBC Two production on Horizon, which was to do with living with autism between 2013 and 2014, and this was conducted by Professor Utah Frith, who's been working in the field of autism since the 1960s. And it sort of showed some of the developments since the 60s to the present, of how we've gone about studying autism and how we go about creating approaches and therapies. So we're now in a position in the UK that there are many approaches and therapies and interventions. With such a growing number, it must be making it difficult for parents to actually make the right decision about what is right for them and their child. And obviously it must be very important to keep in mind and put out to the public that no two people with autism are the same. And what may work for one person may not work for another. With regards to RDI, the National Autistic Society are yet to fully endorse this practice, simply because it's requesting more scientific research to take place. However, given that the claims made for the RDI and the level of existing anecdotal evidence, it feels that further objective research into the programme is justified. It's going to be important now to get across to families that RDI is not a therapy, and how it is actually a significant departure from traditional ASD interventions. It doesn't simply seek to mask the condition with scripted conversations or rehearsed behaviours, but actually makes these neurocognitive changes over time, providing the individual with skills to navigate some of those challenges that life presents, and hopefully get across this idea of dynamic thinking so that individuals can go on to make reciprocal communication and hopefully create these genuine friendships. It's also going to be important to get across that it is parent-based. They will be the main facilitator to the child in their development, their learning. Working with both children and adults, I have had a real passion for sharing my love of sports and creating play opportunities. This is through seeing some of the great benefits that these can bring, physically, emotionally, socially. For those on the autistic spectrum, both the condition and some of those perceived myths can create many barriers to sharing the same experiences fully. As mentioned before, this can lead to isolation and not get the same opportunities to fully develop their potential. I believe these barriers, however, that they can be broken down. I've seen it firsthand in my own setting, with friendships being formed. My recent introduction to RDI also has me really excited seeing the massive improvements being made to individual lives and the great impact that this is having on the families around them. I'm really excited to be part of this and hopefully strive towards creating a more inclusive autistic culture.